everyone, this is a tutorial on how to make Elsa from Frozen. If you haven't heard of it, it's the newest Disney movie that just came out for winter. And I will be telling you how to make something just like this, including the braid, the spikes, the snowflakes, and the whole 9 yards to give you a good feel on it. I'm using the Jareth wig and then a ponytail clip that I took apart for the wefts that I sewed in to make the Jareth wig longer because it wasn't quite long enough. And if you notice, it kind of gives a little bit of an unrefined look on the, the braid because it has layers that I had to contend with. But other than that, it pretty much turned out pretty well because the Jareth wig has an upward spiking motion on the top, which has a lot of thick, crinkly wefts that I could make into a very, very heavy crown. So, I used a couple of cords for supplies for the braids, and outside of that you just need invisible thread, a wig head, a wig stand, hairspray, texturizing scissors, regular scissors, and, some interfacing, some tacky glue, and yeah, the Jareth wig from Arta Wigs, which I love and is very close to my heart. So anyways, hopefully that, is a good starting base, and I will get into and clip together a tutorial for you right now. Okay, so now that we've gotten to the point where we're going to sew in the wefts, you can choose various places that are discreet on the wig to kind of sew in your wefts. The sewing process is just kind of the same as you would hand sew something, so just pick a place that is relatively easy to kind of line up, and then just sew in. Literally just sew in the weft. I'm using a darker thread to kind of show you the color coordination, like where the thread's going. It doesn't have to be super clean because you're just going to flip it over anyway, just as long as it's actually a part of the wefts, and you really make it as if when you pull on it or if you do anything like that, it won't come apart, and that's all that really matters, especially since this is going to turn into a braid at the end. So the original piece that this was a ponytail clip, so it's a little odd. It's not the same as a regular weft. And you just kind of sew down the wefts, doing a back and forth back stitch until you get it all lined up. And then you just flip it down, and it ends up being a part of the wig, and you can't even tell. There's a couple others in here hiding around. I've already started the process. So, don't do that. Don't put a needle in your mouth.
Can't see your face.
Okay. Don't worry too much about it. As long as you get the hair in, it'll be a definite part of the wig. You can barely tell where I've sewn it in. Like, here is where the last weft line is. You can give a little bit of a notice because it's kind of a little bumpy here. That's because this is where it flipped over. And then the other area where I sewed in, there we are. That's where I sewed in the first bunch. Wigs like these will get a little tangly. Don't worry too much about it. Just, keep working. Kind of try to comb it out as you go with a pick. And it should all turn out when you really need to style it. Now we are working on the very front of Elsa Wig, where we need to make a placement of hair about here to go up into the wig. Alright, this is what I'm doing. Guys. A piece of interfacing, and because it doesn't fray ever, I am tacky gluing it down to the mesh, and then I'll be adding the wefts into it, and we'll see how I do that. And if you have any questions, ask me. And now we have the completed widow's peak with the shorter hairs that I put in to make Elsa's flip. And that was done with tacky glue. You lay wefts down and you just glue them down onto the interfacing. Not too terribly difficult. And now we're getting the more Elsa-like look, as I've already sewn in the really long wefts to add to the braid, and then now I've got the slight peak with the little swoopy action going on, and the whole like, oh look, I'm magically puffy up top, and then whatever. And then with the puffiness, you don't have to worry too much. It all kind of ends in this sort of swoopy-like motion here. So you just take the front of the hairline, the very front, and kind of segregate it. Don't take too much hair, just enough to make what would look good, puffy, what you can like create and hairspray and, you know, make that wavy shape. And then she has her hair segregated into what is the beginning of a French braid, which goes down the back and then obviously continues on down the front until you have a finished braid. And then she holds her braid together with snowflakes. Because Disney. Also, that, yeah, you can't do that in real life. I'm just gonna, you know, invisible thread them in. Yeah, because you can't do that in real life. I don't know, like, I don't know if Disney can hear me. Okay, bye.
May not be for everyone, but if you have a wig that you want to thicken up and you want to get that look of all the strands going in the same direction, you actually might want to get some sort of cord and just take the excess wefts that you have and wrap it around the cord. It's relatively hidden, but when you have something like this, I found that with braiding, you can actually wind it around the cord, which is what I am going to show you how to do in a minute.
Now we have the braid. Ta-da! And you want to tie it off with something elastic, and it's good to put more than one on. And you notice that the cord is in the braid, but you really just can't tell. If it's thick enough, you can hide it by turning it facing towards the direction of the inside of the braid. Okay, so basically when you get to the volume part of it, or the part where you have the spikes that go into all different directions, like, what do you do, you actually just spray on the underside of the piece, and in order to volumize, you don't have to tease it, like, don't do that, just don't. Just lightly spray it, and kind of run your hand under it, and then just put a blow dryer on it. I like to use the blow dryer to have the cool and the heating motion, and leave it with a hot shot until I think that the hairspray has dried, and then I hit it with cool just to get it to stay. But, like, obviously it's going to have some serious volume because it pretty much stands up on its own at this point, and then you just have to slowly ease it back, and it pretty much has no teasing done to it. It doesn't have to look all sloppy or tangly, or guys, just don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, and once you get to that crook, there's a trick that I do with wigs where I actually use a curling iron, and I just shoot the area that I need to flick up or whatever in that weird, like, hello, there's going to be a crook here, or like a weird directional thing going on. I just spray it with just a little bit. You don't have to have a lot. And then just run it in the direction that it needs to go. And you just make sure you hold it as it's drying / cooling down. You make sure that you keep it in that spot that you need it to be. So that the plastic, because wigs are made out of plastic fibers, will actually cool in this direction and bend that way, and it'll make it so much easier to use a regular blow dryer on this particular hair. And if you really just want to, like, if you think that you're not really getting cool enough, you can blow on it. And that'll really bring it back to room temperature so that your plastic is all bent the direction that you need it to be. And it won't always work right away, you know, you're not looking at a perfect, you know, spike, but it's just that you need to get that bend, and that you need to get that plastic melted so that the direction is already going to kind of go in that direction. Then afterwards, you can just shoot it with a blow dryer, and it'll kind of do what you want a lot more. And again, you want to get a blow dryer that has a cool shot, so you can actually do the same thing that you do where you blow on it, but instead you can hit it with a cold shot and cool it down that way. So you just tap it with that. And now you have it doing what you want, even though primarily this would have been like a really difficult thing. But yeah, now you're like doing exactly what I want you to do. So that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, now we're on to the final frontier. Snowflakes. So, I picked up my snowflakes at Joann's. You can see from my hand size how big they are. I spray painted them and then acryliced them. And it's the final piece for the wig. And, yep. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. The finishing touch is kind of the snowflake, which you can use invisible thread and just kind of treat it like a fabric and run it through the snowflake and actually thread it right into the braid, like so. With Elsa, most of her snowflakes are actually on the inside because it's going to be running down the shoulder. I'm putting one on the outside just in case, but make sure that you put them on the inside so that people don't miss it. And I think that's everything. Like, once you're done with this, you should be done with the wig.